Welcome back to my lure box. In today's video, I'm going to take you through some rigging tips and a whole heap of ideas about what you can do to get the most out of these soft glides. These are my first release lure. I launched them last week. It's been a massive week and I'm so excited because there's good news stories rolling in. Let me share a couple of those with you before we get into the rigging tips. But I've got a heap of stuff here to talk to you about what you can do with these lures and how they can work for you across a whole range of species. So best news story was the weekend of the launch. There was a bloke down south that picked up a packet of these and went down to the Turos flathead competition, and Wayne Coleman, new champion, and he is a champion angler, he caught the biggest flathead 5 minutes in, 5th cast with one of my soft glides. Mate, well done, congratulations. Boy, what a great start that is. And look, there's other catches that are being shared on Facebook and across social media, which I'm so stoked to see. That's what I wanted from this lure, to be able to share something with you guys that can get your PB and catch you some giant fish, and it's already happening. Check out Shane Holden on Instagram this week. There's a giant flathead in there as well. Make sure you guys are tagging me with hashtag #MyLureBox or SoftGlide, and I want to celebrate with you guys everything that's happening with these lures. But yeah, some great news stories to start, and that's what it's all about. Boy, it's been a big week. So exciting to hear about all that stuff. Let me take you through some questions that I've had on these and just some ideas that might help kick you in the right direction with any changes or upgrades that you might look to do as you change or upgrade the species that you're going after. But look, essentially the packet that they come in is how you want to sit them. And I got this clamshell packaging designed specifically to look after your lures. So the soft glides, the way that I remove them out of the pack, I don't even undo the sticker at the top. I just crack the pack like that and then leave the spare bodies in the packet. And you've just got to be careful getting them out. And I'll probably say this 5 or 6 times as I go through the rigging of this video, because these soft glides, the way they come out of the packet is ready to roll and ready to swim as best that I could design them for flathead. Really big flathead and other species, but they have super sharp hooks, okay? And everything, including the split rings, the swivels, the little twist lock at the front, and the beads and everything in the componentry of this lure has been matched so that it has a perfect swimming and fading action. So straight from the packet, you don't need to do anything to this lure. You can take it off, out of the packet, tie your knot on at the front, tie a loop knot on, and away you go across the flats or wherever you're fishing for your giants, and you're in with a shot. And the fall on this thing is just perfect right out of the packet. Now, part of this video is talking about upgrades, but what I might do first is talk you through the rigging. So when you buy a packet of my soft glides, you get 2 spare bodies in there. And the reason why I did that was I also wanted you to have spare bodies in case you want to go and do your own mods and try different things to suit different situations. Okay, and I'm so excited to see what you guys are doing. I've had some amazing photos and little secrets come back to me about what people are doing. I might share a couple of those with you as we go through the video. But to re-rig one of these fully rigged ones, okay, with a replacement body, I might see if I can overlay some footage so you can get a better look at this, because I'm not sure how the focus will work with this. But essentially what you're doing, it comes with a little bead here. There's a little bead there, and you can just twist that off and it comes off. Just do it carefully because it's so sharp, again, these hooks. That's a big 7/0 decoy at the front. And you just twist that little bead off, okay, from the front. And from there, what you can do is, there's a nylon coated wire that runs through the body, and you can just pull that out. There you go. And then you've got your big size 1 treble on the back there, attached to your swivel, your split ring and your wire, and you can remove that. And then all you're doing is just popping the hook out, again being careful. And then you can untwist your little twist lock from the front, okay? And that's all it is. So there's a fair bit of componentry in this, with the beads, the twist locks, the swivels, and the split rings. And I've had some questions already about, am I going to be selling this stuff or how people can get replacement parts for this? I've taken that feedback, and that's a big part of what I'm doing with these lures. As you guys feed back to me information, I'm going to be able to enhance this whole project and do things that maybe, I don't know, other companies might not be able to, or they might not listen and be able to make the changes like I am. That's one of the great things about, you know, me being engaged with you guys, is that I can make changes. So I'm going to release these components in little packs, but it's going to take me a while to be able to get that all together. So your best bet now is to buy a couple of packs, funny enough. Buy a couple of packs, and that way you've got enough rigging for yourselves. The other thing that you can do, but I'm telling you, it is expensive to do, because the componentry here is high grade componentry, right? And the balance of this componentry took me forever to get it right. So the reason why the lure swims so perfect is because I've spent hours and hours working on different components and getting the balance of this lure right with the way that it sits rigged. Okay, so I'll take you through what I've got. I've got a medium-sized twist lock here, hanging off a 7.0 Decoy EWG. It's a Worm 18 hook by Decoy in the 7.0 size. All right, and a packet of them is like 17 bucks for 3 of them. Okay, I've got 2 little soft beads, Lumo soft beads, and then I've got the split rings. There are like 24-pound rated split rings. So they're like good for about 10 kilos. Or I tested them, I swung them off. I'll show you what I did. I've got my digital scales here. So my digital scales here, I've been swinging this lure off these scales and testing everything in my testing and prototyping. And you can put at least 10 kilos through those rings before they start to pull out. So fishing across the flats for things like big flathead and stuff like that, you're no chance of bending these out. But there are upgrades. If you're chasing giant barra or looking to chase kingfish and stuff like that with them, I'll show you some options for what you can do. But yeah, basically those split rings are rated to 24 pound, and everything else is like 45 pound or above. Okay, so 20 kilos and above. And I've changed these split rings at times, upgraded them. I'll show you the upgrades that I've done. I use like number 4 hyper wires by Owner, or these BKK split ring 51s that are rated to 60 pound. All right, so number 4 in those as well. And I've swung off this lure at 25 kilos. Okay, so you can see the amount of pressure that you can put through the componentry, but you just need to be mindful of the rings if you're going to take them away from flathead and go chasing, you know, really big fish out offshore and things like that. But that's it. Okay, so they're going to come in time. I'm going to bring out a system like that. But for now, if you want to buy the EWG worm hook, it's a Decoy Worm 18, and the treble hooks are very similar to what you can get in these packets by Savage Gear, and it's a size 1 and a size 2 treble hook. Okay, so these are like, I think they're about 14 bucks a pack. So you can start to see that if you're wanting to put this together, it actually gets quite expensive. Okay, and then the little wire there is a 9 centimeter wire from the tip down to the end of the split ring. Okay, and you can measure this up and copy it off what you've got, but essentially that's what it is. It's 9 centimeters from the tip to the end of the ring, and that makes it perfectly sit in the bait, as you'd see from the ones that you guys have bought, so that it sits perfectly like that and sits and swims perfectly flat. Now, when you're rigging these, just to give you an idea, so you can see, hopefully you can pick this up in the video, otherwise I'll overlay some imagery in it. There's locators at the bottom for where to push your hooks through and where to push your wire through. And it shows you a little slit there where you can sit the treble if you want to pin your back treble in. And you can use the plastic to pin your trebles in if you want. And there's also this huge scent chamber down the back where you run your wire, and then you can bring your EWG worm hook out through that little hole there, okay, just before it bumps up. And that's all sitting there and been designed so that you can push the hook into the perfect position. Now these plastics, they're a PVC materials, so you can repair them with heat. So you can, if you're sort of careful and you know what you're doing, you can use like a little lighter to meld these back together. You can kind of plastic weld them to tidy them up if they get bitten up, or if you want to do some modifications. So I've used my little soldering iron at times to change things in the tail, and I've even sat these in boiling water in a pan that I've left just for doing this stuff with plastics. Don't go and use the pan out of the kitchen and then replace it, because it's plastic boiling. But that's what I've done at times to go and play around with the action. But I'll give you the tip, straight out of the packet, that's the action that I'm the most happy with for chasing giant flathead. So you don't need to sit them in boiling water for a minute and a half to try and loosen the tail up or anything like that, unless you're desperate to go and experiment. Straight out of the packet, the action that they've got is exactly what the flathead like, okay? But that's just an option for you. If you like to do that, you know, put slits in the tail, you know, maybe put a hole in it, or you can even run nail weights in these. So yeah, there's a lot of things that you can do, and I've built this plastic so that you can do a lot of mods and do your own thing. There's a lot of body here to work with and to modify and change around. But straight out of the pack, you don't need to do anything if you want it to be a soft glide, perfectly level, slow moving bait through the shallows. Before you get too keen on changing things, always test it in the water, like beside the boat, or you know, down at a ramp or in your pool. That's how I test lures. I've done it forever, and that's the way that you want to make sure that the swimming action for this, as it sits, is dead level and it fades dead level. Okay, you want it to swim perfectly, just like I've got it straight out of the packet. Now there are things that you can do, but I'll just err on the side of caution if you're going to change trebles. And I've used like a little jewelry scale, tiny little jewelry scale, to get, you know, right down to the 0.5, 0.2 of a gram to get the weighting right. And even sometimes then, just the displacement of different types of trebles will pull the lure in different directions. Okay, and it can throw it out. So sometimes your weights are right, but testing it in the water with a different shaped treble, it can throw it around. My suggestion with your trebles, if you're going for an upgraded treble, and I don't think you need it, but have a look at the points on some of these trebles, and I'll see if I can show this in more detail. Because it's a glide bait and it's a slow moving glide, you want a treble where the hook point comes straight out off the end and it's not sort of curled in. Okay, they're my favorites, is to have a hook point that comes straight out and is super catchy to catch the flathead if it misses it on the outside of the face and still penetrate. You can see how catchy those hooks are. Okay, these are exceptionally sharp hooks, and being able to catch the outside of a fish's face, whether it's a barramundi, a Murray cod, or even a snapper, when these things are just wafted through the water and used very slowly, often the take can be subtle as well, especially in a tough bite or a really pressured water. That's where these lures can come into their own. So these hooks with that hook point straight out, coming straight out off the treble, I think they're as good as you'll get. Okay, but again, I'd love to see what you're going to do. You can use nail weights to change the weight, and you can go to singles if you want and do all the modifications you want, like big heavy singles to sink it down and, you know, run them out through the front. There's a lot of body to pull in there. I read a comment this week about switch baiting for sailfish, and boy am I excited. I have considered that in the construction of this lure, and the fact that it's going to be able to work out offshore for kingies and things like that as well. Big jewfish. They're going to work. I can't wait to see what you guys catch and what you do with these, how you fish them. But you can do lots of things. If you're testing, I use soldering iron sometimes as well, with nail weights to change the weights. This stuff's really heavy. You can wrap it around a treble, get a feel for it, or push it through the bait, and that can sometimes help with its balance as well. So hopefully I've given you some ideas and hopefully answered some of your questions there. Again, keep them in the packet is the best way to go. Out of the sun helps, but this is a fairly hardy material. So they're not like an Elastec where they'll absolutely melt with it, but keeping them separated like that out of the direct sun means that they're sitting flat and they're ready to swim when you rig them. And hopefully that'll point you in the right direction. You can use glue like this Loctite super glue to pin things to them, to hold hooks in place or twist locks in place, things like that. Glue like that is going to work as well. And look, I hope that sort of helped you, put you in the right frame to get experimenting with these lures and to go and test your own fishing and see if these are going to work on the big fish that you go after. If you haven't seen my Giant Flathead in the Shallows DVD, then I think this is a really good starting point as well if you're getting into your giant flathead fishing. Remember, with every pack of these, there's a QR code on the front here that if you hold your phone over that with your camera app open, it'll take you to a half-hour guide to soft glide fishing that I've put together specifically for you guys to help you get going with your giant flathead and other species. All right, folks, that just about does it. If you've got feedback, make sure you throw it in the comments. I'm watching Facebook and YouTube and Instagram as much as I can while being a good dad. But I'm really interested to hear back from you how you're going and what you're using them for. And if there's something that you're after, like I said, those pre-rigged, just the rigging systems, I'll have them right for before summer, I reckon. Is definitely a realistic time frame to be getting them out so you can get your hands on those. Otherwise, just get yourself a couple of packets of these and that way you've got a spare rigging system, okay? Good luck, folks. I'm so excited about this. It's been a fantastic week. I've got to be, I'm so grateful for all of your support and your interest in not just my videos, but now my lures and the other products that are on my website with the merch and everything. It's been massive, so thanks a lot. Hopefully this has answered your questions, guys. If you've got more, throw them in the comments. I'll do my very best to get back to you. And I'll see you in the next video. And there's a lot more of this stuff coming as people learn a lot more about these lures and what you can do with them. So stay tuned, there's heaps more to come.